Hey guys, good morning. Thanks for checking out your latest long range forecast. Michael Clark here with BAM Weather. A lot to discuss today. If you guys have been following along, which tens and thousands of you have here on social platforms, of the forecast risks here, really the next several weeks. We've talked all the way back dating through the early mid-December, even before Christmas, about how we were 50-50 on the long-term forecast because we were worried about the MJO and the polar vortex. And so it's going to get very cold this week. No question. Everybody's going to get cold. We've got snowstorms, a couple of really big ones. There could be a huge snowstorm and a blizzard even in the Ohio Valley this weekend. No question about it. The concern is what comes after. Looking at the weekend data has all models, all data has a high amplitude MJO 4, 5, and 6 now, which is what we discussed we were concerned with multiple times. The polar vortex, the split, basically kind of changed it a little bit, right? But the overall idea that we had two players on the field, one was a warm risk, one was a cold risk, is alive and well. And anyone that tries to say, well, I just knew it was going to get cold and stay cold, they're just not right. It's just not accurate. I mean, it's this MJO it's going to put a wrench in things, and I want to discuss it with you, okay? But this is why I wanted to present multiple outcomes. That's really why I wanted to talk about at least the 50-50. Big storm brewing here across the central U.S. In fact, a major snowstorm. This will bring heavy rain, thunderstorms down to the south. You can see a big line of thunderstorms down here across Texas. All right, and heavy snow will work into the Midwest here over the course of the next several hours. We'll take a look here at the forecast for snowfall. If there's going to be anything here in the next couple of days where there could be some perhaps overperformance, if you will, where it could snow more than what data is showing, might be here across portions of Iowa. Horrible color to pick there. Northern Illinois, where there could locally be, 12 inches or more of snow being possible. We're going to get hammered here in eastern Nebraska, across southern Wisconsin as well, and then up into northern Michigan. So here's the thing. Let's take a look. We've got this storm system right here that is working through the area. All right, pretty confident forecast on that right now. Here's what's really, really interesting about the forecast coming. Okay, for late week. All right. Look at what the European ensemble minimum low pressure forecast is, a 953 area of low pressure. Come over here, check out the GFS ensemble. All right. It's a 958 area of low pressure. Reason I'm talking about this, Canadian ensemble 966, a member-wise minimum 966 over here, 961, is that's not normal. Okay, we're only 130 hours out, and we have a storm forecasted to be absolutely massive wind field and an unbelievably strong storm system. The interesting part to this is the Canadian ensemble, is that most of the clustering of the ensemble members, they're about 15 to 20 millibars weaker, which would put the low further south and east. This is the Canadian ensemble. We'll show you the GFS ensemble, very similar. And so what I'm saying here is that regardless, I think right now the operational models are a little too far north and west with the heaviest snow track this weekend. I think that's going to come further south and east once the data realizes that the low is probably not going to be 960 millibars. And if it is, then I'll stand corrected, but I have not seen that in a winter storm in the Ohio Valley in my time. Okay, so we'll have to watch this specific track, the areas of low pressure. And again, what I'm most concentrated on is the strength of the low that the models are projecting, because we do have a supply of cold air. We do have that Arctic air available. And if the low is even 15 to 20 millibars weaker, it's not going to be up here. It's going to be down here like the ensemble members are suggesting. Okay. And when you look at this, when you look at the European ensemble, it's kind of the same thing. It's actually made has made a noticeable adjustment south and east from where it was this time yesterday. So, big storm. We'll note it here in the 3 to 7 day period. I think in this area here, I think somewhere in here, wherever we have this, I think there could be some type of a blizzard. If the low gets that deep, okay, I think there could be some type of a blizzard here this weekend. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I'm intrigued on all the ensembles being so strong. Even the weaker ensembles are in the upper 970s. It's just crazy for the Ohio Valley. This isn't the Northeast. It's not normal here. All right. Probability of 6 or more inches of snow the next 15 days. It's pretty much lock, stock, barrel. You can see the storm track where it's at. It's an interior northeast pattern, in my opinion. It's not a coastal northeast pattern for cold. All right. Or I'm sorry, for the snow. Okay. At least not for right now. There could be one, maybe a transfer situation this weekend that opens up the door. But here's the thing with the long range forecast. I just wanted to cover a couple, quick analysis on the 3 to 7 day. The vortex is going to retreat. The MJO is going to go into strong 4, 5, 6. That's going to matter. All right. We're already seeing it in the HDD forecast and the heating demand forecast data. It's already there. This is the evening European model, the HDD forecast. All right. You can see what's starting to happen by the 22nd. We're very, very cold. No question. But that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 8 days of above normal heating demand or intense cold. Let's look at the GEFS, the overnight run of the American ensemble. Okay. It's starting to do the same thing. It's starting to come down with its big cold forecast. Why is that? Well, here's the latest run. This is the one I get all the love for. I get attacked for this right here. People don't like when you show this, And I had mentioned multiple times. I'm worried that the Phase 4 forecast in the beginning wasn't strong enough because the European products struggle with a maritime continent convection. It's a known bias, long-time bias of that model. By day 10, you're in a strong amplitude 4. By day 15, you're in a strong amplitude 5, possibly even quicker. And then most of your ensembles say you're spinning up here in phase 6. Okay? This is a look at the PV right now, the polar vortex forecast, GFS ensemble. It's in a favorable state, no question. Great tap for big snow, big cold blast, big snow the next 10 days. What starts to happen after day 10 is where I get nervous. It goes back to the other side of the planet. Okay? What you have to understand is everybody that's out here hyping up all this cold, if your cold supply is over here, you can't get cold unless you've got a huge North Pacific block that could create some type of cross-polar flow. But when the MJO is going into 4 and 5, that can't happen. Okay? Let's look at this. Let's look at just the day-to-day cold temperature forecast here from the European. All right? Again, you can see no denying it's going to get cold. Right? Here it comes, which, by the way, I don't want to point out the obvious, but that's incredibly mild in the east here in day 5, day 6. I don't know why this type of stuff doesn't get attention. Even right now, come on, guys. It's still extraordinarily warm out there. I just don't understand it, but whatever. Regardless, here comes the shot of cold. This is a result of the split of the PV. All right, and for a time, it gets very, very cold next week, early next week. And in fact, dangerous cold. Everybody's cold, right? And that's going to last for about 8 or 9 days. Day 14, day 15 is where it starts to really pull out rather quickly. And that's because of what happens with the MJO that I just talked about and the PV going to the other side. That's the concern. Here's the here's the MJO 4 positive Enso phase. It's warm. You're losing your Greenland blocking, your North Pacific blocking, and you can already see it starting to happen here. This is the day 15 heights. There's your 850 temperature departures. That's phase 4 MJO. That's phase 4 MJO with PV going on the other side. I talked about this. I talked about it 500 times and tried to get folks to understand it. Some of you did. A lot of you did. Some of you just don't. Just all you're fixated on is cold and snow. And it's fine. You're going to get that for 10 days. And abruptly it could end here late month. Phase 5, it offers up transient, active pattern, transient cold. Okay, another shot of cold or two in there. As the PV retreats, the intense cold's not going to be nearly as intense as what this is going to be. So if you're watching the markets, the natural gas trade for this, listen, this is not going to be a 6-week spell of hardcore winter right now. Doesn't look that way. All right, with the MJO, there's phase 6, February, positive Enzo. Okay, active, probably not extraordinarily cold. Here's the deal. All right, all model NAO forecast. We're starting to see that go back. The European and the GFS ensemble means starting to take that back neutral to positive. It's going to try to do that. You can look at the trend in the European. It's gonna be too quick. The NAO will hang around a little bit longer, but nonetheless a concerning signal. The Arctic oscillation, it will start to retreat as the vortex retreats. Okay, here's the EPO. I'm going to go to the trend here, the EPS. All right, what we need to watch is this here. If this starts to go neutral or even slightly positive, that's going to abruptly end the supply of cold, because any chance of dislodging that Arctic air from the other side of the planet into here is going to really be dependent on North Pacific blocking. Okay, here's the GEFS trend of the EPO. Right, that's interesting. And then you look at the Canadians. All right, so what could save it? What saves us from being, pretty warm? If the PV retreats and the polar or in the MJO goes 4, 5, 6, it's the EPO. All right, the American model wants to flirt around with trying to keep it negative longer. I'm really concerned with that, and I think we need to at least be talking about the chances here that a high amplitude 4 and 5 MJO could really mess with any substantial cold being long lasting. That's all I have for today. Thanks for checking it out. We'll talk to you soon.